Wait. Testing. Testing.
It's the Willy Show.
Starting in 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
So hello and welcome back to episode 14 of the Willy Show. We've actually been pumping through these. I think it's like 3 a week for the last month or something we've been doing. I'm sitting here with Jack Burley, who has reached out to me in the past. Oh, you've been following for quite a while, a couple of months, but you've really reached out in the past couple of weeks to fly over from Brisbane. Yeah, fly over to Brizzy yesterday for this show.
Yeah.
Flying back tomorrow, so a little bit of time, get the show in. The whole point of this show is to tell people stories within my followers, and you've been a very active follower of mine. And what better way than to tell your incredible story of everything from a pretty hard upbringing with, cancer affecting your life, through to alcohol and everything you've been doing with Dry July and your fundraising. So thank you for coming on, man. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, brother, absolutely anytime. So let's start off at the beginning. What I'm presuming, and if this isn't the beginning, let me know, of when things sort of went wrong with when you were 16 and your mum had cancer.
Yeah. So probably she just got a phone call one day and next thing you know, she's sitting on her knees crying in the corner or in the hallway, and then explained to me what was happening. 9 months down the track, she's gone that quick. So sort of, how do we explain this? I know it was a very fast experience, and it's hard to comprehend how that affects everyone. So everyone in the family got affected by it, and everyone are so you just don't react as you would expect to or you would want to. So I suppose you can relate to that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So what do you want me to go over with it?
We'll go over sort of your initial feelings of how you felt when you first got told, and then we'll move forward from there if you're comfortable in discussing that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock being that age, still at school. It was scary. Scary. You didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
So that sort of situation for me was quite traumatic and did take quite a toll on everything at that. I didn't even realise how much it had affected me until years down the track.
Yeah.
How the paths I had taken.
Yeah, it's not an easy one, that fear of the unknown. I think people know cancer exists, but you never think it's going to affect you or a loved one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something that happens in movies and on TV.
Yeah.
And when you get that, this is happening. It's a pretty hard thing to do with, and you being so young at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it. I don't think anyone's ready for it.
No, you can't be.
No, it's complete. It's a crisis. So you can sort of prepare as much as you can for crises, but you can only go so far with it. Like there's no true way to prepare for that situation.
No, and there never is.
No.
And I guess the way you do is just you have to live through it.
Yeah.
So when did you start noticing that things sort of weren't going that right for you from the sort of would you describe it as your PTSD from that series of events?
I've got some sort of trauma from it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you get anxiety and things like that over I don't know. It's probably like building relationships and in the fear of them ending. Without word. So that sort of creates that sort of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and have you struggled with, you mentioned relationships.
Yeah.
Having, your mum, someone so close to you, taken from you within 9 months. Have you sort of struggled to almost trust the system in relationships because you're like this? You almost have discovered how tangible life is.
Yeah.
And how quickly things can be taken and given.
Yeah.
That you've shied away from relationships and forming new friendships.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's affected maybe trust situations. It's harder to build up trust situations with people unless, of course, they create that situation prior for you. So for me to go out and create a trust situation with a new person that you're unexpected of the situation, of the ending or the continuum, it makes it quite hard for you to, I suppose, jump over that first hurdle. You know what I mean, and then start building from there.
Yeah, yes, it's not easy at all. And I guess you mentioned of the PTSD.
Yeah,
it's something that I was talking to a psychologist about this. We all know we're going to face hard shit in our life. We're prepared for a lot. But sitting in a doctor's office or at school and getting a phone call about cancer is not something you ever play over in your mind.
No.
And you don't know how to react to it.
How did you react when it occurred for you?
Shit. I think at first, as silly as it was, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Were you similar?
Yeah, very similar.
Like I mentioned before, you think it's a movie thing.
Yeah.
Or you honestly feel like you're dreaming. Like, no, surely not. And then I sort of went on a weird spiral of drinking and fucking everything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know this is the worst advice ever of alcohol, but I think that social bond I got off drinking with my mates, I'm so glad I didn't lose that. Like, I'm so glad I didn't just go to ground.
Yeah.
I don't condone binge drinking, but socially, you need to keep those ties open because your life hasn't ended yet.
Yeah, exactly. If you go into a black hole, then you're sort of putting yourself at further risk of negativity from within yourself, and then you'll have those negative moments. But if you've got a mate there to distract you or tell you, "No, you've been a dickhead," that sort of shit, like it makes a big difference to those sorts of black holes that can occur.
Yeah, and having those super honest, savage mates are fucking good too. Who'll just be like, fuck you, Willy, this is happening, and get over it, mate.
Yeah.
That's good. And I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, still to this day, a song that really strikes a chord with me is there's a song, really well-known song, Matchbox 20, I think, called 3 a.m.
3 a.m.,
Yeah, you know, that's actually about, he's singing about his mum with cancer.
Oh, really? Is he?
Yeah, his mum was going through chemotherapy.
Yeah.
For a type of cancer. I won't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, the song's about he didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So he was out till 3 a.m. every night at the pub getting on the piss.
Yeah.
And he said 3 a.m. is when all the pubs closed in New York, wherever he was. And it's 3 a.m. that he was lonely, and he had nothing to do, so he had to go home. And his mum was that sick. And if you actually listen to the song with knowing that, you'd be like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I will.
Next time you listen to it, you'd be like, oh my God, this is not the song I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I think alcohol is, something that's pretty easy to turn to.
Yeah, it is, definitely. There's no question about it. You walk down the street there's 3 pubs on the corner. Like, it's not that hard to get to. So.
There's nothing else to do in Adelaide either.
Yeah.
So in those initial years after
you
lost your mother, would you say, firstly, that was the trigger point, losing your mother?
Trigger point?
For your sort of, abusing alcohol a bit? And
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. In those following, say, 5 years, what did it look like there?
Oh, geez. Okay, so, that year I had a mate who was, you said you got your social factor that helps you. He actually died in a car accident on Mother's Day that year. So, So that was a shock, like getting that phone call after. I think that was the major hurdle then. It sort of spiraled after that. Not so much spiraled. I just didn't even realise, complacency took over.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about what was happening. So I sort of probably would have been good to have one of those savage mates that you're talking about that at that point in time, like to jump in and go, pull your head in, dickhead, but there wasn't. So sort of, it it was a bit of a shock. I was thinking about it today or yesterday that actually that just on that accident I was supposed to go to work and I called in sick because that had happened. And to myself at that time, I was bad at myself for calling in sick. Now I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's probably all right to call in sick, but for a situation like that.
Yeah, of course.
But in saying that as well, it probably would have been better to go to work than sit at home and mope. You know what I mean? Like, so it's sort of like one of those.
I get you. You know, that getting back on the horse sort of thing with work.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that helps.
Yeah, because you've got It helps you in ways. One, distraction, so you're not sitting there doing nothing, and two, then you've got your mates there at work. So
yeah.
And
then we'll sort of move across into, from what I've gathered of your story, and let me know if I'm completely wrong.
No,
in
you're
this.
right.
And this is all from Instagram stalking and fucking everything, because that's where if anyone wonders where I do my research, Instagram stalking. I'm like a 20-year-old white girl on Instagram. I'm a perfect fucking stalker. You found sort of a big turnover in MMA and Krav Maga.
So ninjutsu and Krav Maga.
Krav Maga. Yeah. So do you want to go over sort of how you got, where you sort of found that? Like, how did you find yourself in that?
Oh, I was living down in Sydney. So when I turned 21, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm getting out of Brisbane. Yeah. So I moved to Sydney.
Fair.
I didn't like Sydney too much because it was so busy, but just a bit of a side note. So I was sort of starting to get to the point where I was frustrated, and a mate went, "Oh, come do this training with me."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll give that a go. And then I did a couple of weeks of it, and then I moved back to Brisbane maybe 2 months after starting, and then I searched for it on the internet because then I was lost again. You know, back in Brisbane, no training. Sort of, you start going back down that
rabbit hole.
Yeah, the rabbit hole. So then I found my instructor now, Paul Johnson, and he's sort of ex-military, ex-policing. He's sort of regimented in how he does stuff. So it really helped me with him being there to bring me back onto the right path, you know.
Yeah, and what is it that drew you to that? Was it the physical aspect or the sort of mateship or...
I think I was more just interested. Well, I did karate when I was younger, and then I stopped when at some age, and then I think maybe physical was something new and interesting. It was different, so it was a good distraction, good tool to get involved with, and there was lots to learn. It wasn't just so my instructor, he goes over the histories and traditions of it all. So it's not just we go out on the mats and we practice a technique and then we go home. He goes through all the history of it, so you actually get a good understanding. You go, this is why we're doing something,
Yeah, and from my understanding, Paul, you said, who was your instructor, has become a good friend of yours and almost a bit of a life coach.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no questions.
Yeah. And you're still training with himself?
Yeah. I train with him. Now I'm back at uni. It's a bit hard to train every session, but definitely on Saturdays I'm there. And then I used to teach Mondays classes, but he's now teaching Monday classes, just time schedules. It's a bit hard. So yeah, I see him weekly and I'll chat to him regularly. Like I spoke to him before I started this, like we would have spoken maybe an hour ago or something. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's always good to have someone like that who can sort of, you're on the sort of the same page with.
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
So your university study.
Yeah.
So you're studying biomedicine?
Biomedicine.
Jeez, that's a big
change. Yeah.
It's a big change. What drew you to that?
I think this is so. Last year I had a big breakdown where I couldn't even get out of bed to go to work, and so basically I've seen a psych since then, and he's sort of like you need to do something. Like you either need to go back to work or he said, he doesn't think I could go back to work to doing what I was doing, but I need to get a new career path on the roll.
Yeah.
And so Mum was a nurse, and I always used to read her books, like her medical books, when I was sitting around home or on the toilet or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was always interested in it, and I just applied one day. I was actually having a beer with a mate at the Stones Corner Hotel in Brisbane. I just applied online. Done. That's it. A few weeks later, I got the acceptance.
Fucking hell, that's
here
big.
We go. Yeah,
that's a big change. And what year are you in of that?
First year.
First year?
This second trimester actually started today, but I figured we'll get down here, we'll do this.
Get down here, smash this out.
Yeah.
That shit can wait.
Yeah.
You can look that up online, can't you?
Yeah, just online. It's the first couple of days anyway, so they just sort of tell you what they're going to do. So it's not really super important. I can watch it and not miss too much.
You're not going to be handing out. Like, here's your assessment.
yeah, exactly. Or they tell you what you've got, but it's not like you're not under the pump yet. You know?
Oh, fuck, that's all right. And you mentioned that last year you had a major breakdown.
Yeah.
Can we go over that?
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
Do you know what sort of brought that on or what triggered it?
I think it was a long time coming and I was just pushing it off, you know. And then, I don't know. So I do some subby work. So I'm an electrician.
Yep.
Have my own business. And I was doing some subby work for a mate. And just for some reason, I don't know what it was, but I'd just get in there and I was just having a shit time. Even the blokes are good. Like, it's not even that, you know, like, it wasn't like I was there with dickheads all around me. You know, like, the blokes are good, but just something happened. I don't even know. I can't even explain it. I'd be there and I'd be frustrated. Like, it'd be like I wasn't sleeping. It was just like, I need to get out of here. Like, and then I found out, you know, my insurance will give me some income for some income protection for psychological, and then just saw my GP and just went, I need to speak to someone, basically. And so that was probably a good thing. It was really hard, and it probably made the drinking worse to begin with because I had nothing to do. So I went from working full time to having full days of nothing, you know. So, which is all right for 1 or 2 as a holiday, but you know, as it progressed through the year, it sort of my drinking came up, but it was also a necessity to not. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it was sort of like it's a catch-22. It was like if I was there, it could get worse. If I wasn't there, then I'd do something else. It was just one of those situations where it was just going shit. Like,
yeah, things were just in that spiral, I guess. But you know, something I always suggest is go and get professional help.
Yeah,
which you did do.
Yeah, that was
is a massive kicker. It fucking helps. And what did the psych then sort of say you needed? That starting something new, being that biomed.
So he didn't say biomed as such. He just said, look, and my GP thought the same thing. Like they both said you need to look for a new career because if you've just had a breakdown in that role, it's probably best not to go back to that same role where you've had that breakdown because you might not know what set it off, and that could just easily be set off again.
Yeah, and that definitely swung things around for you, I guess, seeing that.
Yeah.
Seeing that psych. And, you know, the drinking, I've watched some of your videos where you talk about, you know, coming off alcohol.
Yeah.
And the addiction to it. You know, I sort of define addiction as, you know, you rely on alcohol and you can fully function without it. I watched a video of yours today where what did it say? I had 12. I knew I had a problem because I had 12 pints of beer yesterday.
Yeah.
And I woke up at 7 this morning and I was functioning fine.
Yeah, exactly.
At what point did you think, fuck, this needs to change?
I think I've been thinking it for a while, but it's like one of those sorts of things you actually need a crisis to happen for it to change. Yeah. You know? So I suppose I'm still going through that crisis, but it's definitely making that I think that was one of the points, and just other times where I've just been at home frustrated, you know, like, and then you're like, oh, I'll solve this by going and have a beer, you know, like it's just a means to an end, you know.
And what was it that drew you to alcohol? Was it the taste of it, or the social aspect, or the
social? Definitely, I think.
Yeah, or maybe the release that it can give you, being a bit.
Probably a bit of anaesthetic, you know. The social, you can have a laugh. It's really easy to have a laugh with someone on beer, you know. Like you can just have a giggle.
I think
stress.
Smoking is very similar. People love being in a smoking area and having a chat. If they're a bit more shy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you actually mentioned on your Instagram, and this is, I think we'll go over a bit. You looked up like your IQ result. You're in like the top 2% or something of IQs.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
it's very, and you might know this, but it's incredibly common for people in that sort of elite level of the bell curve of IQs, right in that peak.
Yeah.
On the downside of the bell curve, to be very, very commonly abuse alcohol.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Incredibly. If you look at pretty much every genius, very, very smart scientists, neurosurgeons, everyone, in that, very common for them to do it because they understand so much around what's happening to them.
Yeah.
So you and me, or me say, I look at the stars and I'm like, oh yeah, there's stars and this and that, and gravity works like this, and very simple-minded. If you're an astrophysicist who sits in that top 2%, the enjoyment of looking at something like that is almost taken out because you understand so much. Yeah. It can almost drive you a bit crazy.
Probably, yeah.
So they tend to drink a lot to bring them down to like the level of an IQ of like me, and they're a lot happier there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that numbing effect almost of alcohol actually helps people almost drop their IQs while
slows the processing and all that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Artistic people are very drawn to it as well. Same with like photographers, videographers. They see the world almost, if they're working, they must see it through a lens. So they look at a sunrise and they're like, oh, take a photo like this without enjoying that moment.
Yeah.
And they tend to drink and it dulls them off a bit. That's why artists and stuff are severe alcoholics a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that could have very much something to...
I think one of the factors as well in it is that I do get boredom plays a big role, and I don't really have any hobbies for at home, which I've come to realise, which is what my psych has been saying as well. You need a hobby that you can do just at home with no other people involved, just for yourself. And I sort of, you can exercise, but it's not quite the same sort of stimulation. Like I like exercising, I find great value in it, but it's not the same stimulation. And I think that's where drinking, like I'll get to 2 in the afternoon, or I used to get to 2 in the afternoon. I know my mates would be at the pub. I figure, well, let's go have a beer. Like I can have a giggle, I'll kill some time.
It's an easy thing to do as well.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't really put you out of your comfort zone. You can be very comfortable there and have a couple of beers. I struggle with, because I love rum. Like anyone who's doesn't drink, and I'm like, have you ever tasted like Kraken? Have you ever had Kraken and dry? Like, do you understand how fucking nice that is? Yeah. I wish I didn't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
It'd be easy to give it up.
Yeah, exactly. I think. See, I used to smoke as well, smoke cigarettes, and I quit them cold turkey, and now years and years down the track, I can suppose I can have a cigarette with a mate every now and then, and I don't be like, oh, I've got to get back to it. You know what I mean? Like it's more like a special occasion. So I don't think if you are addicted to something, depending on what it is, like that you can't ever not be. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't retrain yourself where it's becomes a what it should be rather than what you turned it into.
That's interesting. Yeah. And you've been sober for how long now?
Oh, well,
I mean sober from not just having a drink here and there, but I mean like from being an alcoholic as such.
Oh, it was probably. Well, realistically, I probably still am at the moment. It's probably still kicking away there. So June, start of June. I made maybe a couple of days before. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, because you've been raising money through the Dry July.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Dry July, it's actually really popular amongst men's groups.
Is it?
Blokes Advice, South Australian Brothers, all of that. A lot goes on there for Dry July.
Yeah.
And you're raising money for, is it leukemia?
Leukemia, yes. That's what Mum died of, yeah.
Yeah, and you're up to, I had a look today, a couple $100 up.
Yeah. I don't think much has gone in there. A few people put in before July, and then I don't think much has gone on since then.
But either way, any sense in that sort of industry help massively.
Exactly. Yeah, they do.
Fuck, it doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or $1.
Yeah.
Something like that. means, yeah,
it makes a difference.
Fucking oath. And you have always raised money for leukemia.
Yeah.
Due to that's what your mum.
Yeah, so I've done it on and off different things. I did Dry July last year. And just small different things here and there for it, yeah.
And is that so? Do you have any other plans in the mix for that, or is it just one step at a time?
A bit of one step at a time, and a bit of trying to see the future, if you know what I mean. Like trying to prepare for the next goal, because Dry July ends. If I don't have something planned by then I've got distraction, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you thought about, your psychologist mentioned that you need a hobby at home, something that you, without having a bloody rum in your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you thought about what you want that to be, or what that's looking like?
Oh, I don't even know, eh? Just I've been trying to read a bit more. That's good. Like you know, like that you can get a good distraction from that. And I think probably one of the things that I'm trying to cut back on is Netflix, like or those binge watching TV shows, because I think what happens there is you get stuck in that and you're not actually stimulating yourself in any way, and then so as soon as you finish, you're like, okay, well, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Whereas, okay, so I sort of sidetracked there, didn't I?
I'll go for it. I'm easy, man.
Yeah. No, I haven't got any plans. I was thinking about building a bike, but I think now uni started again, I'm going to have to wait till the end of uni.
Like a motorbike?
Yeah, motorbike, yeah.
What sort of type are you looking at?
Maybe a Ducati Scrambler or something I was looking at, yeah.
Fucking cool as fuck.
Yeah, so build it from scratch.
Yeah.
Bottom up, and then, yeah.
Fuck
I thought that would be a bit of hands-on stimulus, you know.
Fuck yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
Have you done anything like that before?
No.
Fucking lot of work in.
Yeah.
I know we had an old project bike, an old Yamaha XS 650 Special V-twin. It was actually my old man's, but we looked into doing it up the project bike.
Yeah. And
it just ended up being like, this is going to be so much fucking work.
Yeah.
Sold it off. Like, they're a perfect bike to make into like a cafe racer.
Yeah.
But it's just so much work.
So you're doing it, or?
No, we actually sold it off.
Oh, really?
For a couple of grand.
Yeah.
Way less than it should have been. Way less than it's worth.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot of work. But I guess I don't have the time either.
No.
If you've got the time, you know, once you're sort of deep in this course, or you get a bit of time away from the course, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you're reading. What sort of stuff are you reading?
Just some. Well, I was recommended him by a mate. I think he's watching now. I'm not sure.
What's his name?
Paul Johnson as well.
Shout out, Paul. Hey, bro.
There's still The Power of Habit. Which is what
I've actually heard of it.
Really good. Like, it's very interesting and especially considering we're talking about alcohol or any of those sorts of things. It's really interesting how the brain actually works.
Yeah.
You stimulate yourself to winning prior to the actual win itself. So your brain's already given you chemicals that make you feel good about whatever the reward is, way before you've even done the job to get the reward. So you're already telling yourself, I'm getting this reward, no questions. This is happening because you had a little situation that makes you go through that routine.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And sort of that habit of, you hear a lot of people say, get up and make your bed first thing in the morning, make a habit of it, because you've achieved the first thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember who was on the podcast last, but they were talking about that.
Yeah.
This is what you can do. Set up a podcast and do this as your spare time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is your stimulus, I guess.
A little bit, yeah. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy, the talk to people. I get to meet guys like yourself and talk about whatever. I love a shit talk.
Yeah,
this is like, well, to be honest, I'm like you. Yeah. I crave social stuff, like drink. That's why I like drinking, man.
Yeah.
I love the social aspect of it. And there's guys watching this, be like, I know, he keeps hitting us up, coming to the pub. I know Trusty and Philly are watching this, and every day I'm like, let's go to the pub. Today at work, I was like, it's Monday. Monday nights are sick in Adelaide to go to the pub. Let's go. But I sort of crave, that social aspect. and I find this is sort of combining too. I'm a good shit talker.
Yeah.
And I like social shit, so let's do this and get some people online in the watch the inbox, and we're good to go.
Yeah, and build awareness, really, don't you? Because I mean, that's what you did from the start.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. Like but it's awareness for multiple things, and it's awareness to speak out too. Like I think it's more important almost than any specific one is being comfortable to talk about shit.
Yeah.
So the one thing we don't do is talk about serious stuff much.
Yeah,
I think that's almost a societal issue now. Is there's more bullshit out there than ever. Like we talk more than ever on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's never about serious. We talk less and less about serious stuff than actual. We just talk about shit. We care about what people had for breakfast on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like how can that be? How can that be your post for the week? Is what you had for brekkie instead of something.
Well, it's funny you say that because those first few videos that I put up, people actually ran and hid from them because they were so confronting. Like I actually had a mate say, "I can't listen to this." Like,
and what were those first couple? I think I've watched most of them, but
just the first couple of days of no booze, after being on basically a year bender.
And how was that? How was that first few days? Because I've watched one where you're like, I'm fucking in bed and I can barely move. I think I'm fucking dying, sort of jobby.
Oh, so that I think that was more depression than anything else. The first few days, I've done it before, so it's not anything different. But I never finish. You know what I mean? Like it's always half-assed. Stop, start. So the first few days I'm used to. Like it doesn't. It's more like the end, like sort of like you get to 4 or 5 weeks. That's when it starts becoming more of a mental battle. Whereas those first few days, they're not enjoyable because you're dehydrated. Your body's trying to expect alcohol, so it does certain things. So then you have reactions to expecting it, and it's not enjoyable. But it's not. I'm not. I was never an alcoholic that got up, or I'm not even going to call myself an alcoholic. I was never a massive drinker that got up in the morning and thought, I need to have a beer now. Maybe on a holiday or something when you're overseas with mates. But
that's everyone though.
Yeah, but not just around the house. I'd have to do something for the day to earn the reward. So
yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
And why do you think you kept failing those 4 or 5 week goals?
No, so I didn't fail the 4 or 5 week goals. Get to 4 or 5 weeks and then be like, yeah, I've done it, and then
I've done it. I deserve a beer.
Yeah. You make some excuse. It's not hard to make an excuse.
It's fucking very, very easy to make an excuse.
Yeah.
And what's the future looking like for you as far as your MMA and your drinking and everything from there?
One day at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I've got to stop the binge drinking because it's not really productive for me. So, it's definitely not a productive situation. Because I look at some people who have been drinking for 50 years, and you just look at them and you're like, oh, geez, I don't ever want to end up like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I've got to make the decision to just pull it in, get over it. I will be able to have a beer again at some point, but just do the job properly. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I was on the radio this morning. They were talking about Dry July, which that's the 7th, I think. Well, the 8th. So you're 8 days into Dry July.
Yeah.
I was talking about on the radio this morning about how all these doctors are like, fantastic, but don't give up all your alcohol straight away if you're a severe alcoholic because it might kill you.
Yeah. That's more so those blokes that are like drinking in the middle of the night, then wake up and drink and that sort of thing. But if you're like me or yourself who just has a couple of beers in the arvo and then gets on with it the next day, it's not so dramatic.
Yeah, it's nowhere near that, is it?
No,
it's not gonna kill me if I don't have a couple of beers.
No, you might have a few heart palpitations or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you're very constant sort of routine with your Instagram posts about videoing parts of your day, little inspirational, motivational clips.
Yeah.
Everything. What's the like? Where do you see that going? And what's your hope for that?
Oh, I think I just want to raise awareness, and that, even like you are capable of doing something other than what you expect to be in the routine of. You can change it. I think that's the goal.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I wanted to do. That's why I sort of stopped making the so confronting ones and put in a bit more. I'm down the park training, sort of ones like that, or it's the gym, like you do with your posts. That there's a lot of them are like, those, what are you, little stories?
Stories.
I'm in training now, or you know what I mean? Like, so it's not so confronting all the time.
I tend to leave the confronting big stuff to actual like Instagram posts.
Yeah.
And then stories just might go like almost like a documenting my day, like a shit talk of my And I think you're doing very similar to that.
Yeah, I think I've sort of copied your MO for it, just how you've done it, because I liked it. When I was watching yours, it meant something to me. I was like, oh, this bloke's fucking suffering, but he's pulled it in and he's been positive. Like, while still being honest. I think that was the big part for me. You were honest about your situation, but not sitting there just woe is me. You were going, okay, this is shit, and then you'd put up something funny, or So I thought, okay, well, there's some value to this,
Yeah, that was what I was trying to do. I try and see the positives in things and not dwell on it. Like, that doesn't fucking help anyone.
No, exactly.
That's just sort of how I live, man. I'm a fucking shit talker like that. And I think I'm stoked that you say it's had a positive influence on yourself.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, because that is the point, is to influence however. And if my influence is then influence you to make a change or support change of other people, that's that's as good as it gets for me.
Yeah, the ripple effect.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah, well, we did talk about that today. The ripple effect of influence and sort of how you're feeling onto others.
Yeah.
And have you noticed much of that with your own stuff, of feedback of, oh shit, this just really helped me out, man?
Some people have been like that. I don't think I've got enough reach at the moment, you know what I mean? So it's sort of like it's neither here nor there yet. I've only got basically mates and a couple of random people following it. So it's not, the reach isn't as massive as you'd expect, and to get lots of comments from other people. But I have had friends say to me that it's good for them. Like, so,
Yeah, but I guess you're affecting those closest to you as well with that.
Yeah.
So but I think too, you got to remember those ripples reach out further than you're directly influenced by too. So
yeah,
if you influence your friends, they influence their friends, and you've double-stepped influenced, and mixing a lot of people down the track.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because if you read The Power of Habit, there's a bit in there where they're talking about what's her name, Rita.
What does she do?
The woman that sat on the bus, the black woman that sat on the bus but wouldn't move, and they arrested her.
Oh, geez, I have no idea.
Set off Martin Luther King. This is in America, and then that's when Martin Luther King started up from there.
Oh, fuck, I have no idea.
So she was a big group of, like, if you look at that, we're just talking about that. She was very loved in lots of different groups.
Yeah.
So then she had the ripple effect once she got arrested. So other people had got arrested for sitting in the bus seat.
Yeah.
But she got arrested, but because she was so well liked by so many little groups around, that the ripple effect made the reaction enormous and created change from that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what social media has the power to do, used correctly.
Yeah.
And there's a Professor Jordan Peterson talks about this. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
Yeah.
Where, say, someone of my generation, a bit younger, let's just say the average of followers, let's just say 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Is if you can influence 1,000 people and they're all influenced, but they all have 1,000 followers, you've in 2 steps reached 1 million people.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's put it, say, you've influenced myself.
Yeah.
And, there's definitely things you've done with alcohol and everything mainly to influence me.
Yeah.
And then I'm one of your followers, but
yeah,
that's influenced me to reach 13,500.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you've got to remember that, you might think I only affect 100 people when you don't. It's tens of thousands.
Yeah, exactly.
If not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And that's where, too, I think people need to be fucking careful
Yeah.
with social media, because if your followers think you're a dickhead,
you
might be 100, but there might be 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. It's true, though, because it can spiral out of control, or bad. And I think it can be hard for people like you and me trying to inspire change on a pretty, it's pretty fucking raw and real to people that they almost are a bit intimidated and don't pick up on it. Like I would tend to say you've got stalkers on your profile who don't follow you, who are a bit intimidated by
sitting in front of me.
Speak the truth a bit.
Yeah.
People don't like the truth, man. Sometimes they want to live in that Instagram haze of, this girl's on a bikini and she's hot as, and this makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with that, but at some point you need to come back down to earth and be like, well, actually you have a problem with this.
Yeah. You can't live in a fantasy land forever.
Fucking A. Yeah. And what's your next plans for those Instagram? You're building on those videos and everything?
Well, I sort of slacked off a little bit over the past 2 weeks. Just didn't do as much because I think personally I felt like I wasn't making an impact. So I just sort of left it to myself, and I'd put up something every now and then rather than it being so regimented all the time.
Yeah.
And too repetitive. So I don't know what the plan is for the future with that. Continue.
Yeah.
Continue, and then hopefully we can make people feel a bit more comfortable.
Build a bit of a platform.
Yeah.
You should maybe do a Brizzy version of it. I don't know if you saw, I'm not sure how long you've been following me for.
Yeah.
But I ran at Christmas time. I think Christmas is one of the hardest times for people.
Yeah.
Be it like, if you live in an empty house, you think, it should be a full of love house. But if you live in a full house where you've got bloody grandparents and in-laws, it can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
I ran an event called Willy's Brew with a crew.
Yeah.
And literally all I did was I went and rented a big, went and reserved a big fucking table at a local cafe down here on the beach.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like anyone who wants to come and have a brew. Like just any rant. I had cops and fires. This is how I met Dan, who did the maybe the second or third podcast, the firefighter.
Yeah.
He came to that. He's like, look, I was just a bit, family and everything. I felt a bit like, maybe that's something you could do in Brizzy.
Yeah.
And if I'm down, like I'm planning to come to Brizzy. Oh, fuck, I've been planning to come to Brizzy for 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm fucking useless. But yeah, if I'm around that time, it'd be good to do if I can help reach a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing I'm stoked for, and this is the point of these podcasts, is somehow I've got a bit of a platform. A bit, I have a following and a bit of a platform to get stories like yours and everyone else's out there.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. I fucking enjoy it, man. This is epic. This is my, and you're talking about before about hobbies. This is mine.
It's a good hobby.
Yeah. Guys are saying you should get into RC planes. Little fucking remote control planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys are saying in the comments that's what you should get into.
Yeah.
A few of them love them. Yeah.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah.
Build them, fly them.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Yeah, why not?
Why not? It's
I'll
not
have a
hard.
gander. See what I can find. Yeah.
It's actually funny. You mentioned before you're a smoker, and you found that. Did you find that easier to give up than alcohol?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Or did you just not enjoy it as much, or?
I got sick, and I just had a real bad flu, and I couldn't smoke, so I got through about a week, and then I thought, well, why stop here? And then just continued, and that's the same thing with that 4 weeks, 5 weeks sort of thing, where you sort of get yourself to a point where you're like, oh, I've done it long enough, I'll be right, That's sort of one of those sorts of situations where I got to that point and I was like, nah, I'm not caving on this. I know it's not worth my time. Like, there's no value to it.
Yes.
And I feel better. Like,
time and money.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I've never been a smoker, but that's something I don't understand about smoking. Is I'm like, you get nothing. At least drinking booze, I get drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
At least people who do drugs get a high.
Yeah.
I'm like, smoking?
Yeah, it's such a short...
I've never got anything out of it. I think you need to be addicted to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
I've just got fucking sore lungs out of it. And I've only smoked like 2 cigarettes in my life. And I'm like, I'm like dying, man. I've actually got 2 photos on my wall. My favourite speaker, so Christopher Hitchens right at the top there.
Yeah.
And there's another one of them over there smoking. Anyway, yeah, that's a good one. Take the risk of thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, and beauty and wisdom comes to you that way, I promise. He actually died of esophagus cancer.
Yeah.
A smoker. And they asked him sort of on his deathbed, like, would you give up smoking? Like, would have you considered if you knew this was sort of the path you're leading down? And he actually said no. He's like, look, smoking was like the best and worst thing ever. He's like, if I was cold, it made me warm. If I was warm, it made me cold. If I was hungry, it made me full. If I was full, it made me hungry. He's like, it literally, that drug toxin was just, couldn't get it. And he was one of the smartest. Like, I would honestly say Christopher Hitchens is the greatest author speaker of our time. I think in 100 years, we'll look back on him like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
I'll look him up.
If you've never heard of Christopher Hitchens, bro.
I've heard him, but I heard of him.
Change your life, some of the stuff.
Yeah.
He's most of his stuff that he's famous for is bashing religion, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he actually writes a book called Mortality. He wrote it on his deathbed.
Yeah.
While dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And coming to some grim realities that I think a lot of people with cancers or have family members with cancer don't actually want to admit.
Yeah.
So people will say things like, oh, fight it. And you're like, well, I'm not fighting it. My body is. I'm not. I'm not doing shit. I'm just fucking living. My body will do what it does.
Yeah.
And he's like, you think fear, wait till you're in a fight that you have no involvement in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. But he talks about addiction and how he's like, look, I was that addicted, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to look at it, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh.
So, talking about him on his when he's written that book, did you go through any of those sorts of processes? Or
yeah,
because you've obviously related to him for a reason.
I think it's fucking hard to come to terms with your own mortality if you're atheist.
Yeah,
if you don't believe in a higher power, that this is it.
Yeah.
But I also think you expect you're given an amount of time. Like you expect, I'm going to get 85 years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to have that white picket family life.
Yeah.
And thank God. Thank God most of us do.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there's no reason why you should. And I think the grimmest thing that came to me was, and on my massive thing, that no one owes you fucking anything.
Yeah.
The universe owes you nothing. It doesn't even owe you your life. Like, who's to say you should live 85 years?
Yeah.
Who the fuck said that? That's just our average. And almost this human instinct of thinking that I am owed that time. Like, I deserve 80 years. It's not that I don't deserve it, but like, it's just a wingman. It's just particles through space, and that's me at one point.
Yeah.
I think the savagery of him with it, of like, realistically, you're nothing fucking special.
Yeah.
The way you interact with each other is special, but otherwise you're just a fucking bunch of stardust that's formed a body.
Yeah.
And I think that actually helped me a lot come to terms with it.
Yeah.
Of like, who do you think you are? If you honestly think you don't deserve it, who the fuck do you think you are? You're not some super being.
Yeah.
And at the same time, that's not an easy thing to come to grips with.
No.
But I think that savagery helped myself a lot. And I think I push anyone who's, anyone, but mostly those who are non-believers.
Yeah.
Into looking into their work like his to help you with that mortality.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing for most people facing death is the fear of nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to get your head around. What do you mean I'm not going? Nothing exists. You're like, well, you're just not going to exist. Every part of you still will, but just not you.
Yeah, yeah.
And we almost think of ourselves as more than we are,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a believer yourself?
No.
Yeah. Have you ever come to those sort of thoughts of what the fuck? What happens after this?
No, I haven't really. Something Mum used to say though, this was what she wasn't a believer. She used to just say, "Bury me under a tree, and I'll make the tree grow. That'll be my future."
Yeah,
like that's where I'm going next. So
it's very, very similar to as a astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
big black guy. He's fucking very, very popular in those spaces. He was asked by another scientist, a biologist, Richard Dawkins, like, what do you want to happen when you die? Do you want to be cremated or buried? And he goes, well, I want to be buried in something biodegradable, because he's like, I want flora and fauna to feed off me like I fed off the flora and fauna of my surroundings.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to be part of that circle. If you burn me or put me in plastic, I'm not going to rejoin that circle of life. I'm just fucking dust again.
Yeah, and that's something happened. Like, so it's funny actually. At uni, there was a girl talking. She's doing forensics, and she was talking about how people are buried in so much embalming fluid that they're not actually breaking down for hundreds of years because bacteria is not wanting to get onto it, and everything's just so that you can look at it before they look at the body before it gets buried. So that's something about that sort of as well.
How did you go with sort of dealing with life and death, with losing your mother so early? Did that change the way you saw death?
Yeah, it doesn't. I've seen a fair few people die over the years, but it doesn't sort of shock me anymore. I can't tell you when that happened, but at some point in time, I'd just seen enough that I figured it just is,
Yeah.
Though someone close to me is going to die, it's going to be a different feeling as well. You know what I mean? Like someone, if you got that person right next to you constantly, then. Or even, like, my dog got stolen last year. And for a week and a half, 2 weeks, I was having nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, just...
Yeah, bro.
Like, that's...
That's my biggest fear is the day my dog Xena dies. That's honestly like my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, I don't know how to fucking put up with that.
It's...
Like...
Yeah.
Especially dogs.
Yeah. Because
you've got such a one-sided relationship. Like... As selfish as it sounds, like your dog would give its life for you in an instant.
Yeah.
Like not even. No one loves you as much as your dog. No one.
Yeah.
You think your parents love you? Wait till you have your dog.
Yeah. Exactly.
But of course, you wouldn't. With people like that, but you wouldn't give your life for your dog.
Some people wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, not to the same extent it would for you though.
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And you have all this other stuff going on in your life. You go to work and you have relationships and everything. Dogs have you. Like you are it. Like you are it. It doesn't matter. The rest of the world may not exist. May as well not exist for it. It loves you. And that's so hard. I know when my last dog Nelly got put down.
Yeah.
My God, man, like nothing compares.
Tears, man. you can't help it.
Fuck. You want to see a grown man in tears?
Yeah.
When their dog goes, fuck.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing, man.
It is, yeah.
Dogs are just such...
And they're so compassionate and empathetical.
Yeah. Well, they pick up on human emotion better than us.
Yeah.
So better than our own fucking species.
Yeah.
They know if you're happy, if you're sad, whatever. They're incredible. It's one of those good things. I know when I was in Afghan, the military working dogs, we used to... the British dog handlers, dogs over there. And like the favourite thing of the Aussies to do was go and walk them at night around the base.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Fucking epic.
Yeah,
just because it's a dog, man. Like, they don't give a fuck where you are. They don't care who you are. Like,
Yeah.
Fuck, they're just hanging out.
They give you some relief as well. Like, you're inside the little box, so you need some distraction in there, and a bit of love from a dog's perfect.
Yeah. And they're just so fucking stupid. Like, they're not stupid. They're like, they're just so negligent to things. They don't know where they are. They're just hanging out. Like, yeah, man. That's fucking epic.
Yeah, they're just doing their job. They don't even realise what the job is, do they?
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good.
They just want to know their place in the pack.
Oh, mate, like you wouldn't believe. They just, all they want is to be loved a little bit in return.
Yeah.
Fucking oath. Oh.
So how old's what's your dog's name?
Xena. She's a border collie cross Kelpie.
Yeah, yeah.
She's 6.5 now.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's getting on a little bit, but she's getting there.
Still plenty of time.
Oh yeah, she's got plenty of time left, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the fucking cat. She's 22.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Really?
Bella. Who you would have said. I think
Doesn't even look. She's 22.
Fucking 22, man. There's like 180 in human years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, oh fuck, it's fucking hopeless.
Just cruising around,
bro.
Doesn't even look like it.
She's hopeless.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I love her, but yeah, she's showing her age more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell. Well, I think unless there's anything else I want to go over, that's.
I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I?
Oh, bro.
Interrogate you a little bit?
Go. Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't get this we can go for hours and hours. I don't mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm out of questions.
So, how did your family cope with the situation when you were told them? Like,
fuck. See, I didn't see that much of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think they almost kept it a bit hidden from me because they knew I had a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't want him seeing us upset as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a fucking big change, man. Like, from that moment, your whole life has changed.
Yeah.
Every path of your life has changed. I'm not sure how much you're into science, say, or anyone else out there. But if you look at how time and space works in universe, everyone has things in space they can affect, and normally you have like almost a V of like these is actually what you can physically affect in your life.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's pointing just up into the next time frame.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas if you look at how the singularity works in a black hole, it actually bends space and time to every single thing ever on that point. If you were there, your whole future, every single part of it points towards singularity.
Yeah.
There's no other way out of that than you're going there.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened to me. My future was like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then my future did this.
Yeah, yeah.
That every single arrow of time in my future changed to this point.
Yeah.
That the other stuff was going to happen on the way, but none of this anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's some big things in there, man. Like, kids and relationships and family and growing up and going grey and may as well just be.
You can stress yourself, Gray.
Yeah, maybe. But it's a weird one, man. I think my family struggle with the.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
So that's what I was thinking about. Your mother would have just been broken, I reckon. Like, wouldn't have shown you, of course.
No, it's hard on family though. Yeah. And then fucking mum lost her mum literally like 2 days after I was diagnosed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it all went downhill, man. Like, everything went to fucking shit at once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So at least everything went to shit at once and it's all up from there. But like, fucking it all went crook.
Yeah.
For us.
And how many in your family?
Sure. Well, direct family. So that's me, my brother, mum and dad.
Yeah, yeah.
They're a tight group
the
of
ones
4.
In that photo.
Yeah, that photo just there, actually, on the wall.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's us. And then there's both my granddads are alive. Both grandmas aren't.
Yeah, yeah.
And mum's sister, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking small, tight-knit group, bro.
Yeah, nice.
Direct family is super, super tight. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a hard one. I think I don't think anyone expected it from me also.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit happy-go-lucky, sort of just bounce through shit. That happened, fuck it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who cares? Like, I've done some dumb shit that I've just sort of lived through. Especially off sort of the last 15 months before I diagnosed how that looked, It's been 9 months in Afghan, or 8.5 months. I travelled by myself for a few months on just a fucking loose trip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, it was like fucking invincible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like this guy, like the absolute last thing on anyone's horizon was a fucking brain tumour for old Willy.
And how did you find out about it? Like, what made you go and get tested for it?
So February 2018 was when codeine became a prescription, not over the counter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was really struggling with these headaches. To be honest, it's probably some accumulative hangover from 2 months in Europe. Probably mainly to that.
Yeah.
I kept having this headache. Could not fucking shake. Down to the point I couldn't do PT at work. I was fucked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then my section commander, who probably saved my fucking life, he was like, Willy, it's direct order, you're going, like, I will fucking charge you if you don't go see a doctor. And I'm like, fuck, righto. And saw him, and they're like, oh, look, because you're in the army, super, super easy for us to go get a CAT scan from you. Go get one.
Yeah.
Got one, and yeah, it turned out tumour. But it also turned out that the headaches were not caused at all by that. The headaches were from tightness in my shoulders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so your traps run pretty much the whole way down your back.
Yeah.
And I had like really stressed traps from doing like a lot of kettlebell work.
Yeah, yeah.
And
carrying pack and
literally that, some poor fatigue, and yeah, that's just how it went, and that's fine. That's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Headache's gone, but I got left with a tumour.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's a fucking bit of a shit one, but
yeah,
that happens, man. I know. Happens at all. Every single person knows that day is coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's hard when Sam Harris talked about this. He goes, we all know that we are one car trip, one doctor's visit, one plane ride away from facing our own mortality.
Yeah.
We all know that. But at the same time, we don't think about it. Like,
complacent.
We tend to be complacent.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't think about cancer, yet 50% of Australians get cancer and 30% of Australians die of cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
But
pretty high.
You wouldn't
rate.
know it exists.
Yeah.
It's a funny one, yeah.
How much? So you'd probably be up on the numbers for that then. Like, what's the youth like? I don't know what age group would we call us? Mid-20s to mid-30s.
Oh fuck, we said a weird one. It's actually weird because I don't know what to classify us as. Is it a youth cancer or a seniors cancer?
Oh really?
Yeah, that sort of middle weird, like 20 to 30 is a really weird area.
Yeah.
Because some of them are pediatric cancers.
Yeah, yeah.
So mine actually don't really know. They don't really know how to classify, am I pediatric cancer or like an adult's cancer? Because they're like, well, you've had it when you were a kid, 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%. I had some sort of, like, even if it's like a marble size.
Yeah, yeah.
Through to like, oh, fuck, what do we call it? Doesn't really matter. It's just naming, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird one. Kids and cancer's weird, man. Kids will either die of cancer or live. It's not this, I was survived for this long. It's either live, die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They can react super well to chemo.
Yeah.
But at the same time, cancer can fuck them really badly too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're at that age group where everything's in the growth stage. So if something does go wrong, they do get through it. Their body's still preparing them for the future. So,
oh, mate.
So they're lucky at that stage, I guess.
Oh, mate. Yeah, to a degree. It's a funny one though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing. That's literally, I think, a good part of the reason I do a lot of fundraising. Everything is purely because I do struggle seeing kids with cancer.
Yeah.
The survival rates of the brain tumours are a kid's cancer. They are a young person's cancer, 100%.
Yeah.
The survival rates of some of them are fucking horrific, man.
Yeah.
Some of them for 0.7 5-year survival rate.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then my whole thing is, you look at testicular cancer and breast cancer.
Yeah.
Both have an over 99% survival rates for 5 years, and then 10 years is like 97.
Yeah.
Yet get more funding than every other cancer combined.
Yeah.
Now you have brain cancers that sit at percents of percents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That get fuck all.
Yeah, yeah.
That affect kids, and I'm like, well, come on, you know.
Put in a bit more. Yeah.
I don't put in a bit more. You've got one that's 99%.
Yeah, yeah.
Realistically, so to get breast testicular cancer to 100%.
Yeah.
Might cost $100 million.
Yeah.
To get 1%.
Yeah.
Why don't we invest that same amount of money into one that we could get 20%?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's a weird one. And, people are like, oh, no life is worth... No, of course no life's worth more than others. But with the greater good too. Like, at the end of the day, we have a finite amount of money and a finite amount of people with cancer. Like,
and researchers can only do so much as well. So that there's
fucking oath. Yeah. And it's a hard one because a lot of the money gets soaked up into not only the groundbreaking research, but you need to bring all these student researchers to the point to groundbreak.
Yeah.
And it's like we got to invest millions in them to even get them to the point where they start researching.
Yeah.
It's a money pit. It is. It's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is. It's here and there. Good shit.
Yes.
Well, unless there's anything else you want to mention, man, I'm pretty
Pretty
content.
One last question.
Absolutely,
then
man.
I'll let
Send
you.
it.
So, how'd your boys at work react when? I suppose you said your section commander sent you there.
Yeah.
So, how did he react, or any of them react to that situation?
Fuck, I think
Because
yeah,
they'd be wanting to keep you alive. You know what I mean? That's sort of their role with you. You know what I mean?
Like, it was weird, man. I think none of them believed me, to be honest.
Really?
I think I was like, no, fuck off. Like, that doesn't happen to us.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen to Willy. That doesn't happen to the boys. Fuck no.
Yeah.
And it became pretty real. It's a weird one to actually say how they reacted. I guess almost no differently. Like, you know, the support was epic. Like, all the boys always supported me massively, but it wasn't. I think the best thing probably they did was didn't treat me any different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have cancer, but I'm still Willy. They just took the piss as usual and did whatever. I know some guys probably did struggle a lot with it.
Yeah.
But if anything, it was made us closer, to be honest. Me and my close mates.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, yeah.
It's probably a positive.
Yeah, fucking oath it is. Yeah, the boys were fucking legends.
Yeah.
Everyone at work was a fucking legend, to be honest, about that shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's good shit.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, let's leave on a positive, eh?
Let's leave it on positive.
Yeah.
So thank you all for, especially the live streamers. Thank you for tuning in for the 14th episode of the Willy Show. As always, you know, there's 13 more episodes. Feel free to go tune in for them. Your Instagram is pain4pain. What's that?
Relief.
Yeah, so it's pain4pain relief.
Pain for pain relief.
Pain for pain relief.
Yeah.
But remember, it's a number 4, not spelling 4.
Yeah.
So go have a look at that. And as always, you know, if you've listened, watched anywhere, thank you so much. Thank you for the continual support. And thanks yourself, man, for flying down. Really appreciate it, bro.
No worries. Thank you.
Easy. Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me.